Welcome my students. Before we talk about introduction to biology, after this we talk about the classification, and in the classification we start talking about bacteria and viruses right after we finish the protists and fungi. Then we're gonna go for the animal kingdom. Animal kingdom can be categorized into invertebrates and vertebrates. Invertebrates starting by sponge and cnidarians, then flatworms, mollusks and annelids, roundworms, echinoderms, arthropods, and invertebrate chordates. Then we have the vertebrates. Vertebrates start by fish, or amphibians, fish, reptiles, birds, and eventually end by mammals. Today we will start talking about the characteristics of the animal kingdom. So, Kingdom Animalia or animal kingdom, they have general features. Number one, animals are complex multicellular heterotrophs. They are considered complex multicellular. Multi means many, so they are made up of more than one type of cell. Heterotroph, hetero means different, troph means feeding. So heterotrophs mean different feeding. They cannot make their own food by themselves. So they are obtaining their food by eating another organisms. Their cells are mostly diploid. Diploid means they have whole complete set of chromosomes. The lack of cell wall, surely they do not have cell wall and are organized as tissues, and then the tissues are being organized in organs. Organs are being even making together organ system, and organ systems making the organism. They have nervous system. One of the most important things that characterize the animal kingdom is the presence of nervous tissues. Also the muscular tissue or muscle tissue. In addition to all of this, the zygote developed through several stages. We will talk about it in details in a couple of seconds. These adaptations have enabled animals to be successful in different habitats. The specialized tissues called the muscles enabled animals to move about readily. Animals that has an endoskeleton and backbone are referred to as vertebrates. Animals that have endoskeletons made up of backbone is known as vertebrates because it's made up of vertebrae. The bodies of many invertebrates are covered with exoskeletons, which are hard or tough outer covering that provides a framework of support. Those are known as exoskeleton. Exo means to outward, skeleton is support system. So those that have an exoskeleton do not have backbone or lack of the backbone, so they are referred to as exoskeleton. Most animals reproduce sexually, although some species can reproduce asexually. Some animals, such as earthworms, are considered hermaphrodite. Hermaphrodites are organisms that do have the male and the female reproductive system together. Fertilization can be either internal or external. Internal, such like cows, sheep, or the mammals generally, or external, such like fish. In most animals, the zygote undergoes mitosis and a series of cell divisions to form new cells. We're going to talk about it in detail just in a couple of seconds. Common methods of asexual reproduction, for example, in the animal kingdom, budding. An offspring develops as growth on the body of the parent and stay with it. Fragmentation. The parent breaks into pieces and each piece can develop into an adult animal. In continuation to the common methods of asexual reproduction, we have the regeneration. A new organism can regenerate or regrow from the lost body part if the part contains enough genetic information. The parthenogenesis, mostly common in the bees, for example, a female animal produces eggs that develop without being fertilized. This is known as parthenogenesis. Okay, today we're going to talk about the symmetry in the body structure, or the body plan symmetry.
Structure of its body. Some animals, like sponges, are irregular in shape. They are called asymmetrical. In an animal with radial symmetry, the body parts are arranged in a circle around a central point. Sea anemones have radial symmetry. You could cut through the center of the sea anemone in any direction, and both halves would look the same. Most animals have bilateral symmetry. Two sides of their bodies mirror each other. There is only one way you could cut through the center of a bilaterally symmetrical organism for both halves to look the same. Animals with bilateral symmetry usually have a head and a tail.
Symmetry in body structure, if we summarize this, we can say that symmetry is the body arrangement in which parts that lie on opposite sides of a central line are identical. The symmetry of an animal describes the overall pattern or structure of its body. Okay. Bilateral symmetry is a condition in which two equal halves of body mirror each other. Radial symmetry is a body plan in which the parts of animals body are organized in a circle, okay, around a central axis. Eventually, we're going to talk about the asymmetry. A means not, such like sexual and asexual. Asymmetry is a lack of symmetry. Animals with no symmetry are referred to as asymmetrical, such like sponge, as we just discussed. Let's go for next point. We're going to talk now about the germ layers. Let's see this video first. Zygote is the diploid cell. Zygote is the first cell of all of the new individual. The zygote undergoes cleavage, which is a series of cell divisions by mitosis. Each cell division doubles the number of the cells. Thus, the first division resulted in 2 cells, and the third resulted in 4 cells, and the third division resulted in 8 cells. So, the dividing cells do not grow bigger during the cleavage, so the cells of divisions of the cleavage produce smaller and smaller cells, so they are more in number but they are less in the size. Here we have at the end of the cleavage, the blastula will form, which is a hollow ball of cells, okay, by the growing of dividing cells. The fluid-filled interior of the blastula is known as the blastocele. Here we have the gastrulation process. The blastula begins to collapse inward inside a hollow ball, now called a gastrula, is a bucket that makes the gastrula cup-shaped. The cells of the gastrula continue to divide, some more quickly than others. The outer layer is known as the ectoderm, while the inner layer is known as the endoderm, and in between them there is the mesoderm. To summarize this, we can say that we have the blastula, which is a fluid-filled ball of cells. Then we have the gastrula, a 2-cell layer sac with an opening at one end formed from the blastula. This is the gastrula that is made up of ectoderm to the outside, endoderm to the inside, mesoderm to the middle, and inside the endoderm there is the coelom. Germ layers. We have also the endoderm, as we just mentioned, that the inner layer of the cells in the gastrula, the endoderm cells develop into the digestive organs and the lining of the digestive tract. Then the ectoderm, the outer layer of the cells in the gastrula, the ectoderm cell in the gastrula continue to grow and become the nervous tissue and the skin. In between them there is the mesoderm. The mesoderm, shown in red here, forms between the endoderm and ectoderm. Now we'll talk about the tissue layer, but firstly let's see this video together.
Animals are separated into 2 major groups, protostomes and deuterostomes. Protostomes include worms, mollusks, and arthropods. Deuterostomes include echinoderms and chordates. Though each group has very different organisms, all protostomes and deuterostomes each share developmental similarities. A protostome embryo is arranged in a spiral cleavage. A deuterostome embryo is arranged in a radial cleavage. The gut cavity of the protostome forms from separations in the mesoderm. The gut cavity of the deuterostome forms from pouches created by folds in the gut tube. The first opening of the protostome digestive tract is the mouth. The anus forms second. The first opening of the deuterostome digestive tract is the anus. The mouth forms second.
If we summarize this, we will say that bilateral animals have 3 distinct layers of tissues, radial animals have only 2. Both animal types have ectoderm and endoderm. Bilateral animals have mesoderm in addition to have ectoderm and endoderm. The tissue layers also, animals are divided into 2 major groups, the broadostomes and the deuterostomes. Broadostomes from the mouth form first. Proto means first. Stome means opening. So the broadostome, okay, the mouth opening is formed the first, then the anus comes later. The deuterostomes first form the anus and eventually the mouth. That was our lesson for today. Wish you see soon. Goodbye.